And I struggle with that question: how can we possibly celebrate Christmas appropriately in a society so awash with affluence, power, and wealth? This sermon is just a little struggle that I have every year. When we go to the Christmas story, we might think firstly of Christ's nativity in Bethlehem. But to get to the real roots of the story, we need to go back much further, even as far as Jeremiah and Isaiah. They are the ones who first spoke about the coming Messiah. And so they're the ones who define what the Messiah is and what our hope is for this great Christmas event. And Jeremiah and Isaiah are really clear. When the Messiah comes, this is what will happen. There will be justice for poor people. There will be freedom for slaves. There will be healing for the sick. And if you look at the ministry of Jesus Christ, you see that everything he did was consistent with that message of the most ancient prophets. But is our Christmas today anything to do with justice for the poor, healing for the sick, or freedom for the captives? I think not. So I'm going to give you some gift-buying insights today that might make it possible for your Christmas to reflect the great vision of Isaiah and Jeremiah. I'm going to tell you what not to buy. And this might save you all kinds of money that you can use in some other pursuit. And then what not to buy gifts come in two categories. Number one, the gifts that don't do any good for anybody. And number two, the gifts that actually do harm. So under the first category, this is what not to buy, gifts that do no good. First thing, unnecessary gifts for people who have everything. And you've all been at the mall struggling and saying to yourself, what am I going to get this person? They've got everything already. And you're going through the shelves looking at stuff saying, no, not this, not that. And what you're looking for is something that's so unusual and so odd and bizarre, you'll pick it up and say, aha, they don't have one of these. If you're doing that, be careful. Because the reason they don't have one of these is because nobody needs one of these. And there's a whole list of funny things that people buy in desperation because they can't think of anything. Now, I don't want to prejudice anyone. There may be some people who need these things, but don't buy any of these things unless you're sure the person needs them. Slippers. Nobody wants slippers for Christmas, all right? That's a desperation gift. Christmas sweaters. People can buy their own Christmas sweater. That's a taste thing. House coats, universal remotes, ties or tie racks, golf bag organizers, foot massaging spas, or you know the stuff. And you say, oh, I'll get them this. They don't want it. You shouldn't be wasting your money on it. Don't do it. The second thing, gifts that do no good, is gifts for people you don't like. You don't like them. They don't like you. Don't buy them a gift. They know you don't like them. They know when you give them that gift, you're just sort of fulfilling some norm or some requirement in the workplace. Don't do that. Don't waste your money on that stuff. The third gifts that do no good are unneeded gifts for little children who already have everything. Let the other grandparents do that. Your grandchildren or children won't love you any less if you don't buy them those silly things that are worthless and have no function. Say to your mother, you know that list of stuff. Gifts that do no good. But here's another list, the gifts that actually do harm to our society. And some of these things, we go wild with them at Christmas time. The first harmful gift, and some of you are going to hear this and moan in pain and misery. Boxes of chocolate. Oh, do you really need 15 boxes of chocolate? Who said yes? My wife said yes. Laura Secord, Cadbury Dairy Tray, Pot of Gold, Ganon Delecto, Turtles, Almondillos, Russell Stover's Sampler, Black Magic, Quality Street, Toffee, the Lit Christmas Selection, Icy Squares, Ferrero Rocher, Almond Roca, to name a few. First of all, a box of chocolates is a gift of desperation. When you can't think of anything else, you give somebody a box of chocolates, and let me tell you, that poor sucker is going to gain 20 pounds this Christmas without that box of turtles. I know it's funny, but this part's not funny. Think of Jeremiah and Isaiah when they say that the purpose of the Messiah is to bring justice for the poor, freedom for the oppressed, and healing for the sick. 30,000 children will die of hunger on this coming Christmas Day. And every day in the year 2008, 30,000 children will die of hunger. And you don't need another box of turtles. Do you know where chocolate comes from? And if you said Oompa Loompas, you're wrong. Chocolate comes from the Ivory Coast, Ghana, Indonesia, Nigeria, Brazil, Cameroon, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Togo. They account for 95% of the world's chocolate. The backbone of the labor force in every one of those countries is children, many of whom have been abducted or enticed into slave labor or sold by their own parents with the promise that they will have meaningful work that will lead them to an education. They work 13 hours a day, 7 days a week. They live in prison-like conditions, abused, neglected, deprived of education, food, and health care. Many of them are under the age of 14. The labor is back-breaking, climbing the trees, and hacking the cocoa beans out of the highest places with massive, sharp machetes, and then splitting open the bitter beans ready to be transported. And when those little children are asked universally, do you like chocolate? Do you know what their response is? What is chocolate? I have never tasted it.